On today's episode of Vibe Check, check out this eye, this little neon yellow eye. Such a vibe. Hi guys! Welcome back to the Pretty Bookish channel where we talk all things books all the time. My name is Nogo Kanya, your resident book nerd. Welcome if it's your first time here. Thank you for subscribing to my channel. Welcome back if you're an OG and you've been with me for a while. If you've been about this life for ages. So today I'll be running you guys through the books that I'm anticipating, or the books that I'm possibly reading in, what month is it? May. How am I gonna forget May? Like, it's literally my birthday month. In May. So these are the books that are on my shelf that I'm eyeing, like with the side eye, because you guys know I've said this before, but for the people who are new, I don't really subscribe to a TBR because I find TBR, even the phrase, super restrictive. I find it makes me feel super anxious. So I just kind of do like books that I'm like eyeing. Some of them are like backlist books that have been on my shelf for enough time. War girls that have been on my shelf for so long that I actually need to read them. Others are books that are new, things that I feel like will suit my vibe this month depending on what I'm going to be doing. And I also like to give myself a really wide range of books for my like monthly possibilities, because then whatever my mood is, so like I'll give myself some fantasy, some like hard-hitting contemporary fiction, I'll give myself some YA, some romance, I'll give myself some like graphic novels, just so that whatever my mood, I can just pick it up and keep going. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, so this is gonna be my May possibility pile video. Let's do this. Some admin before we get started. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Follow me on Instagram on @prettyxbookish. Like, comment, follow, share, all that fun stuff. Tell everybody to subscribe to my channel. I think I'm really close to 2K subscribers, which is like, yes. So yeah. Actually, that can be like your guys' mini birthday present to me, unless you want to actually get me a birthday present. My birthday's on the 22nd. My PayPal is below. But yeah, thank you so much. Let's get moving. May possibility pile Lego. Okay, so what books do I want to read in May? So the first book is a book that I think was in a recent haul video. It's pretty new. It's an African lit book, and it is How Beautiful We Were by Mbolombwe. So I read Behold the Dreamers recently. Absolutely loved it. First of all, this cover. I first was really like, oh, the US cover. No, the US cover ain't it. Like compared to this cover, like I gravitate towards books that have like really fun, vibrant covers. So this is just like right up my alley. So How Beautiful We Were by Mbolombwe is the first book that I want to read. It's basically, the synopsis of the book is it's basically like an African village, a Cameroonian village actually, because Africa is not a country village, a Cameroonian village that had oil, and basically discussing like in the 1980s this fictional tale of this village that was basically had like oil drilled by this company called, I think, Paxton, and then Paxton, basically the oil spills and environmental degradation as a result, and the physiological and medical effects on the community and children dying, and how the community tried to fight back, and how the relationship between American corporates and African governments and the people within the village, and who's the natural, and this question of who is the owner of the land, who does the land belong to. I'm talking about like the custodians of the environment, and like the for-profit like degradation of the African environment, and how people in the global south are reaping like the environmental damage of huge corporations doing drilling for oil. If it's not oil, it's like rubber, it's coal, it's diamonds, it's all that stuff, right? So that's what this book is about, but it's a fictional book. I love Mbolombwe's writing style, so I'm really excited about this one. I'm hoping it's going to be really, really good. So this is the first book that I'm anticipating or possibly reading this month. Put that over there. Is it going to stay? Okay, it's not going to fall. The next book is a sequel to a book that I read. I was going to read it last month, but I didn't get a chance. It's a sequel to a book that I absolutely loved last year, and it's Majesty by Catherine McGee. So this is book 2 in the American Royals series. So basic premise is that imagine if the US was a monarchy instead of like a democracy, allegedly. So imagine if the US was a monarchy. So in book 2, where what's her name, Beatrice is queen now. Oh no, actually let me not talk about this book too much, because you guys, like, I don't want to give spoilers, but I'm excited to read this book, Majesty by Catherine McGee. By the way, cover recreation. Should I do it? Should I not do it? Let me know in the comments. What do you guys think? I feel like this would be a cute, like, because I did a cover recreation of the first book and I really, really like that photo. So yeah, we'll see about that. Then the third book is a book that literally I've had it for so long and I actually need to read it. So I saw it on Naya's page, Naya Reads and Smiles, on her booktube. She really, really enjoyed this book and I bought it just off the strength of her rec alone. And it is War Girls by Tochi Onyebuchi. It's an African sci-fi book written by a male African writer, Tochi Onyebuchi. And I was saying, I think in a previous video, I was talking about Son of a Storm in my anticipated releases video, and I was saying that, like, I haven't read, I don't think, any fantasy, sci-fi, or epic fantasy or anything by Black African men. All my Black fantasy is by women, so I think that's something that I probably want to jump into or see if there's a difference, or just explore male writers. Like, they're worth, I mean, men are worth something, you know, kind of. So War Girls is a book that I want to read. I really love this cover. I'm not too clear on the synopsis. I just know that it's science fiction, so it's like dystopian, future, sci-fi. I'm thinking Nedia Korafo vibes. That's what I'm like getting, like just generally off the top of my head. But this is a book that really, 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 if I could get to it this month, I would really be overjoyed with myself, because it really has been on my shelf for way too long. Like, it's been on my shelf for way too long. This pile is definitely gonna fall. Girl, that pile is definitely gonna fall. But you know what? We'll cross that bridge when we get there, fam. Okay, so the next book that I am excited to read this month, I'm really on that African Lit tip this month. One of the most beautiful covers I've ever seen is We Are All Birds of Uganda by Hafsa Zayan. So apparently it's giving homegoing vibes, just set in Uganda. So it's an African lit, multi-generational, multi-country, I think, as well, multi-generational. It moves between different time periods, so like 1960s to like present day, between Uganda and between London. You know, those kinds of like family tales, communal tales that kind of explore the usually they're very much rooted in the history and the kind of, especially with African lit, within the colonial relationships and the kind of colonial dynamics and within the country and the effects of that on the people and how that affects like interpersonal relationships. So this book as well. By the way, as a side note, did you guys know that this book is published by a publisher called Murky Books in the UK? It's Stormzy's publishing house, like literally Stormzy, the rapper, bro, who is like such a great rapper, like a British rapper. I love Stormzy. So Stormzy has an imprint, and that, I think it's an imprint that's part of, I think if I'm not mistaken, it's Penguin Random House. That Penguin as a it's within either within Penguin or Harper, but he has an imprint, and this is one of the books that he published. Even Sorrowland, by the way, the Sorrowland by Rivers Solomon is being published by his publishing house in the UK, and I just thought that was like, what a, like, I mean, I'm not saying that like you can't be a rapper and also like be about books, but it's just such a weird like thing. And just anyway, this book, I'm really excited about it. That was just a little tidbit that, there we go. Yep. Saw it coming. Anyway, sorry, that was just a little sorry, let me just get my life together because this ain't it. Okay, so we're back. Some order has been restored. Okay, so the next book that I'm thinking of reading this month is a book by Bernardine Evaristo. It's a book written in verse, and it is The Emperor's Babe. So basically this book is about a girl named, I think her name is Zuleika. So Zuleika, it's set in in AD, 211 AD in Londonium. So basically old school Britain, old school London, like back in the day. Back when, by the way, did you guys know that like Romans settled, like the Roman Empire actually like low-key colonized the UK at some point? But anyway, so during that time period, and so she's like a child bride who gets married to this like really old dude, and then long story short, she catches the eye of Emperor, what's his name? Septimus. And then it's basically like hijinks ensue. So I'm interested in this. It's a really, really interesting premise for a book. Also, I like books in verse. I'm really trying to expand. By the way, I'm working on getting you guys a video of like recs of books in verse, because I'm trying to get through as many as I can. But this is another one that I've had my eye on, managed to get it, and I'm really excited to read this one as well. I really like Bernardine Evaristo's. The thing I like about Bernardine Evaristo more than anything is that her books, her ability to embody such different types of characters, like Girl, Woman, Other and Mr. Loverman, it's not even the like, you wouldn't believe that it's the same writer. And I think like I'm interested to see another facet of her craft. So yeah, that's another one. Then the other book that I want to read this month is Exhale, Queer African Erotic Stories by Ola Africa. It's published by Blackbird Books, which is a South African publisher, woman-owned South African publisher, by the way. Blackbird Books, if you're looking for South African lit, I would definitely say, and just generally some really great African lit, go on their website. Blackbird Books really publishes some great literary fiction. They really have like, they really do pay attention to like the quality of the stuff that they publish. So I love Blackbird Books. Also, queer erotica, African queer erotica, short stories. I'm there, fam. So this is a book that I bought at Exclusive Books. So I'm excited to get to this one as well. Hopefully finish it before Pride Month so that I can, because I probably will do a Pride video for you guys. So hoping to finish this so soon. Wow, guys, I actually feel like I talk so fast. I sometimes catch myself and I try and slow down, but like my brain runs like at like, what's that little cartoon? Roadrunner? I think he's the one who runs really fast. I mean, obviously Roadrunner. Anyway, so the other book, another African lit. Guys, really, I think I really took it seriously that I haven't been reading a lot of African lit. And the other book I want to get to this month is one that came out last year. It was a Bookstagram and a Booktube fave. I have not read it yet, and it is Transcending Kingdom by Gyasi. Thank you so much to Penguin South Africa for sending me a copy. They just sent me a copy now, like this week. So this is a new book that I have. I've been wanting to read this as well. I also have an audiobook that was sent by Libro. So this is a book that I'm interested in reading. I've heard a lot of things about it. Everybody seems to love this book, so I'll give you guys my honest opinion about it towards when I finish it. But this is a book that I definitely want to get to this month, because obviously it's been ages since that book came out. Then on the more fantasy side, YA fantasy, is this book called We Hunt the Flame by Hafsa Faisal. So I loved The Rose and the Dagger by Renee Adi. So this book is also like Arabian. It's like a Persian, Arabian, Middle Eastern fantasy book type of thing. And so people live because she kills. So Zafira is a hunter. Enforced to disguise herself as a man, she braves the cursed forest to feed her people. And then Nazir is the infamous Prince of Death, assassinating those foolish enough to defy his autocratic father, the Sultan. And so I think they're like kind of worlds collide, and then basically like I'm assuming romance and also general adventure ensues. So this is one that I've been wanting to read for ages. Thank you so much to Pan Macmillan for actually finally sending me a copy. Like, I've been wanting this book for such a long time, so thank you so much. Also, this, guys, I love this gold foiling thing that they do on covers. It just really adds such a cute element to a book. Also, book 2 of this series is out already, so I want to see if I really love this, then I can get book 2. So We Hunt the Flame. Let me know if you've read it below and what you thought of it and stuff like that. But like, this one definitely is on my radar for this month. Then in the non-fiction arena is a book that I was just sent by Atria, and it is a book called Laziness Does Not Exist by Devon Price. And I am so excited for this one, simply because, first of all, you guys know I like nonfiction books that come at things from a different angle. I like to learn things from nonfiction, right? And I've been trying to branch out in terms of my nonfiction and not just read nonfiction books that are rooted in race or gender, because that's something I'm pretty familiar with at this point. But Laziness Does Not Exist is basically a book that basically is problematizing and exploring our kind of productivity culture that we have, like our global productivity culture, and how this notion of laziness is predicated on the standard of like work ethic being like hyper work, right? So if you are doing like normal levels of like human work, it's considered lazy, and basically problematizing what does it mean to call somebody lazy, what does it mean to be classified as lazy, and how do we as a society within this global go hustle productivity, and especially the way that productivity is used as a barometer to kind of measure people's worthiness and like your self-worth. How do we conceptualize laziness within that context? And I think he's basically problematizing how we conceptualize laziness. So it's something that I think is such an interesting thing to think about. So this is definitely one that I want to get to this month. I managed to do 2 nonfiction books last month. Yay me. So this is one that I definitely hope I can get to this month, because yeah, it sounds really good. Okay, so the next book is another book that I also got sent by Atria. Thank you so much to Atria. And it is a book by a writer who's, I'll tell you the story in a second, but Cobble Hill by Cecily Van Ziegesar. Okay, so Cecily is actually the person who wrote Gossip Girl. I know a lot of people don't know that Gossip Girl was originally a book series, but it was, and obviously you know I read it because I'm a big ass nerd. But Cecily Van Ziegesar wrote that whole series and the spin-off, and you know I read all of them. So now this is a more adult novel, and I think it also follows the same kind of pattern of like the New York, people who live in New York, and like I think it's more adult and like people interconnecting lives of a group of characters and how their lives intersect. I'm assuming there's going to be drama involved. By the way, this cover is so pretty. I love this hardback. But yeah, this is another book that I'm thinking of reading this month. Yeah, so those are the ones so far. What else? Right, this one I actually just got sent. I'm so happy. I think it was one of my it was one of my anticipated releases, I think for February or March, and it is a second book in a series that I absolutely loved, and it's by an author that I stan a lot, and it is Chain of Iron by Cassandra Clare. I probably will do a vlog for this one. You know I like to do vlogs for these kinds of books. I did it with Court of Silver Flames. I did it for Crescent City. I think this is like a nice vlogging book because I want to do Six of Crows or like Shadow and Bone, the series of vlog, but this is the kind of thing I like to vlog because the size of this book and just generally the subject matter, I like to read them in chunks and like really dive into it on a weekend. So yeah, Chain of Iron. Really excited about it. I'm really excited to see how this goes because really Cordelia did not catch a break last book because Grace is honestly moving with the spirit of the devil. Like Grace is really moving with that really, really devilish spirit. So hopefully Cordelia manages to get her life together and get her man, quite frankly, in this book. So yes, Chain of Iron, excited for that one. Then the other book that I'm thinking of reading this month is a book that I was gifted by the author from Simon & Schuster. It's a romance book by Georgia Clark called It Had to Be You. So this is one of those books that you guys know I like to read romance novels, like just to sprinkle up my day and like just to also add levity when I have books, because I think quite a few of these books that I have are quite like serious, quite heavy books. So this will probably be something that I just pick up because I have to tell you, like when I read How to Fail at Flirting, it was really just like the last book I read last month. I was just like spent from reading quite a few, and I just finished Set Fire to the Gods, and it was chef's kiss. It was exactly what I needed. So It Had to Be You is another one that I'm eyeing for this month. Hopefully gonna get to it. Then the other book that I want to read this month is actually the last book in my Jane Austen challenge, because I actually did Mansfield Park last month, and the only one I have left is Emma. This is the only Jane Austen book that I have left that I haven't read, and once I finish it, I'll be able to do a Jane Austen video for you guys, really spilling the tea, ranking, all of that fun stuff, because I feel like that would be such a fun video. But this is Emma, definitely I want to see if I can get to. I've been enjoying listening to Jane Austen on audio so much, so definitely I hope to be able to get to that, especially the audiobook version. Then the next book is like one of my favorite series. It was the book one was in my top 10 of 2021 so far of Q1, Gemina. So I read like 10 pages of Gemini. Now I'm lying. I'm on page 36 last month. I didn't manage to really get into it. I picked it up because I thought it was what I wanted, and then when I read, I was like, no, I don't want to spoil the book by, like, you know when you read something at the wrong time. So Gemina is another book that I'm really excited to read this month. You guys know I like this series. I really love, and I want to see, and judging by what I've read so far, it's taking a slight departure. It's not like necessarily, I think it's a continuation, but not a straight continuation from Illuminate. It's like it's the same topic but coming at it from a different angle, which I think for me is really interesting. I want to see what Jay Kristoff and Amy Kaufman do with that. Even though I know Jay is like low-key cancelled, I really like the series. I'm just gonna start calling it Amy Kaufman's book because like I want to finish the series, sorry. Then the next book that I want to read is a memoir, but apparently it's a memoir that reads like fiction. It's another African, guys, really girl, like this is what you call like level up. And it is The Dragons, the Giant, the Women by Wayethu Moore. I read She Would Be King. I think I gave it like 3.5 stars. It was one of those books that when I rated it, after I rated it, I was like, I need to actually rate this book higher because it stayed with me. I love Wayethu Moore's writing style. I think she's such a phenomenal writer, and I think if you're looking for African fiction with a strong female main character that discusses a country, which is Liberia, that is seldom. I haven't read. I was saying when I did that review that I have never read a book about Liberia before, and it has such an interesting history. Because it was, if you don't know, it was the country that basically, like, the resettlement of slaves when people were trying to do that go back to Africa thing. It was where a huge group of African American descendants or people descended from slavery resettled when they came back to the continent. That was Liberia. And so it created conflict and contestation between the returning slaves and for all intents and purposes, the indigenous people of that space, because then they kind of reproduced the incoming people reproduced slave hierarchies, or kind of American not racialized necessarily hierarchies, but they reproduced the same hierarchies that they were experiencing in the US. And so it created some kind of contestation between the kind of elite civilized and then the ordinary citizens, right? So that country has a really interesting history, and there's been a lot of civil war and a lot of contestation as a result. So yeah, and Wyatt Moore, I think, grew up in that environment. So I think this memoir is set there, and it touches on some of those topics. So definitely been wanting to pick this up for a while. I've had it since like December. So I think now is finally the time when I'm going to read it. And then the last two books that I'm thinking of, I'm not sure if I'll get to both of them, but I want to at least read one of them. And that is, I think I'll actually do this one, Darius the Great Is Not Okay by Adib Khorram, or The Infinite Noise by Lauren Shippen. So both of these are queer YA, and both of them have a mental health element to them. And May is Mental Health Awareness Month, but also June is Queer Month. So I just want to be able to, I just want to be able to touch on a number of issues when I do my recommendations. So I want to be able to read at least one of these, because obviously when I do my Pride rundown, I'll be giving you guys some like recommendations or highlighting some books that I haven't read that I've just heard about, but I want to be able to at least like co-sign a couple of books on a number of different topics. So these two are definitely on my radar to read as well. Is that it? Oh no, this is the last one. So the last book that I also want to read is a poetry collection. Hello, bye-bye, Gogo, come in. This is a little sticky note from Kolega, whose Kolega Putuma is the writer. She sent me a signed copy, and I was just like, she's my favorite South African poet. So her first collection, Collective Amnesia, is like somewhere up there. Can't get it now. Collective Amnesia is absolutely phenomenal, and it's been translated into a number of languages. So if you're watching my YouTube channel and English is not your first language, definitely, I think I remember Spanish, I think German, so it's, I think Italian as well. I think it's been translated into a number of different languages. I think French as well. So yeah, this is her second collection. She's now self-published. She has her own media company, which I think is just so fantastic. I love it when Black women like do these kinds of things. So yes, this is something that I also want to be able to get to if I can. And I think with short stories and poetry, it's easier for me because I like to do like a poem before I go to bed. So if I start this today, I will be done by the end of the month, which I think is something that I actually want to do. So yeah, that's the last one on my list for this month. Okay, so that is the rundown of the books that I'm possibly reading in May. These are all the books that I'm eyeing, things that I'm excited about. Yeah, so look out for some of these, hopefully, in my possibility pile. In my wrap up. I've actually been analyzing my stats, and I think I do like at least 50%, minimum 50% of my possibility pile ends up in a wrap up, but I am a mood reader, so I do like dip and dive, but hopefully some of these will make it to the end of the month. They'll make it to the finish line. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you find it instructive. Please let me know in the comments if you've read any of these, if you loved them, if you have any questions about them. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and follow me on Instagram on @prettyxbookish. Like, comment, follow, share, all the fun stuff. You guys know the drill by now. I don't need to tell y'all. Okay, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you guys have a good day. Bye.